Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Hello.
Lovely. We got the headsets going, which is frankly one of the stranger things I've seen at a conference in a while, but I certainly appreciate it. So hopefully you can hear us okay. My name is Jared Young. I am the VP of Global Sales at Maropost. So today, I imagine you guys are going from back-to-back sessions, hearing a lot of different content, and what they say is you'll probably retain roughly 17% of what you hear at the conference for the next 2 days. So I'm going to start off with something a little bit strange, just to break up the monotony. Join me on a story, and then I promise we'll get into some good content. So imagine that you woke up this morning, you got a big day ahead of you, you got to fuel up, so you go downstairs to your hotel, they offer a lovely breakfast, or maybe you stop at your local McDonald's, get a McMuffin, put some eggs on your plate, go to take your first bite, and you chomp into some eggshells. Now, you're going to react in one of two ways, and when we talk afterwards, I want you to tell me which bucket that you fall into. Bucket number one, absolute anger. I just bit into an eggshell, and I want the manager, I'm in rage, and I might chip my tooth. That's bucket number one. Bucket number two is you're actually slightly optimistic. I just bit into an eggshell in my Egg McMuffin or my hotel breakfast, so at least I know I'm eating real eggs, and today might be an absolutely phenomenal day. So it's a little bit of a mindset thought. I'm curious to what bucket that you fall into. So now that we've kind of broken up the monotony of our typical speaking session, let's jump in and have some great content today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the selfish plug out of the way very, very early so we can spend much more time talking with Namor from Victoria Beckham. So I'm coming from Maropost, and what we do is we specialize in multi-channel marketing solutions and personalizations for the customer journey. For us, there's two big things that we specialize in. Number one is going to be email, SMS, and social marketing, where you can customize your subscriber list, get them and bring them to your website. And the whole idea is that we specialize in segmentation, customer journey building, as well as deliverability. The second part of what we do really well is online search and merchandising. So making sure that once we get that traffic to come to your website, be able to convert that traffic through a merchandising genius. Think of the search bar on your website and absolutely optimizing what happens when people go to that search bar. What are they coming for? What are their customer behaviors? And how do we get them to the products on your website faster and more efficiently? Those are the two big things that we do. And for us, Victoria Beckham has specifically been using our search and merchandising tools since I think 2019 or so. And Findify isn't just going to be your typical search tool, but the way I want you to think about it is driving higher conversions, stronger returns, optimizing your inventory, and saving hours when it comes to merchandising on a regular basis, specifically if you have hundreds or thousands of products like Victoria Beckham does. But today what we're going to do, we're going to dive into Victoria Beckham and how they've built a world-class digital custom solution. If you want to come find out more about us and what we do and how they're utilizing, or other retailers like Club L London or Axel Arregato, come find us at booth K18. We're going to be serving up conversations, serving up coffee, and you have to tell me which bucket that you fall into from the egg story. Now, with that, I am joined by Namor Walker. He is from Victoria Beckham, and he is the head of digital advertising. So, Namor, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Head of digital operations.
Head of digital operations.
I've worked with the brand, been with the business since inception. The brand celebrated its 10-year anniversary in 2020.
10 years.
Yes. And we began online. We're committed to online. Online is our biggest store. And we are firmly committed to disrupting, if you like, and innovating in the digital space when it comes to luxury clothing and products.
What came first? Was it digital or was it store?
It's digital first. The brand began, as I said, in a hotel room in 2010 with Victoria, who's our founder and creative director. Um, and she began designing garments and a collection of 10 dresses, icons they're called, and we're about to reintroduce them in the coming months because they did so well at the time and they're often requested. But as I say, began in 2010, the first, and online specifically. We didn't move into bricks and mortar retailing until 2017.
Oh wow. I didn't realize that it was 2017.
Yeah.
So for the type of demographic that you serve specifically, tell us a little bit about the brand itself and kind of who you're so intentional in targeting.
So the luxury customer and those, we get a lot of customers, sorry, a lot of visitors to the site that are, I want to say, fans of Victoria in her earlier guise as a musician. But we are focused in on the luxury customer, high net wealth individuals, and yeah, that's been our primary focus. That customer we focused in on from the very beginning. It's a very curated relationship. We're very much in love with them, and we and that features very heavily in the way that we communicate digitally and develop that relationship with them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of digitally and why a lot of us are here, I would love to hear about how you've been intentional in the digital experience, right? And by having your own digital experience and your online presence, why is that so important to you in that experience that you've been curating?
Because we began online, so that's where our roots are. When we began in 2010, digital luxury online virtually didn't exist. I mean, in my past, I'd worked with De Beers and some other luxury brands who were keen to have an online presence, but didn't actually sell online, right? So you could book appointments and come and visit the store and experience the brand that way. But what we were doing is that we were actually, we believed that we could sell these products and translate an offline, the traditional offline luxury experience online. So we really felt like we were leading from the front. And at that time, many of the well-known luxury brands that we regard as in our vertical were not selling online at that time. So yeah, we really regard ourselves as innovators and amongst the first to do it in luxury online.
Luxury wasn't something that was online right out of the box because there's something about that experience of luxury, of going into the store and being able to feel that. So you being an innovator in the space is interesting. Online is so much harder, specifically when it comes to luxury, because you can't touch and feel, right? It's harder to make that decision. So I'm kind of curious for Victoria Beckham and your intentionality, when you think about that, bringing that in-store experience online, where does that kind of begin digitally for Victoria Beckham?
Well, when they arrive, and let's be honest, the customer has evolved, and their appreciation and their desire and their willingness, if you like, to purchase luxury online has evolved significantly. So it was a lot harder back in the early days, obviously, but we were buoyed and assisted by Victoria's profile. So we won a lot of customers and a lot of interest via that. We also, the business is also, we also have a wholesale element to the business. So whilst we have our own site that provides the brand authority and the etc. We were we were selling to wholesale customers.
Yep.
So we did have our B2B, and that is where often people could experience the fashion and the products in the traditional luxury manner, so they could touch and feel them that way. So it's two-pronged, really. We had that, and we were fortunate enough to establish relationships with major retailers in the US. Again, to make that point, we began online, but we were showing only in the US initially.
So one of the things you mentioned is your relationships as well as your own experience. Within your bandwidth, is there intentionality in being able to control the brand and the experience even when you have relationships with other realtors and even digital online realtors?
Absolutely. I mean, we have to be we're the primary destination. We have to be the authority on that, and so that is why the brand is pretty diffuse. You can pick it up on multi-brands and what have you, but as a destination, typically the visitor is going to come to us first. So that experience needs to be, we need to deliver our ID. We need to get the customer to understand how we develop our products, how we create them, and how we wish them to experience them.
And this is a little bit of a pivot, but I've got the opportunity to sit through a couple of speaking sessions, as I'm sure everybody here has. AI is a huge buzzword, and AI, in my opinion, can be great, and it's also can be scary because there's so much unknown to it. So as you think about AI, have you started to think about, incorporate that, putting that into any of your personal digital strategy for Victoria Beckham?
Operationally, absolutely. Most of our partners are introducing AI. So we're introducing it by extension, and we have to manage and we have to make the decision about how much of that we feel provides or adds to our luxury experience. We offer it with recommendations, with search, and on other areas of the site. But with it, gently, and with a little bit of trepidation, because the feedback hasn't always been stellar around some of the innovations that we've introduced, and we're keen to take that temperature very seriously. So yes, AI is coming. It's there, and as I say, a lot of the time we discover that it's being introduced into the features that we deliver via partners that we weren't even entirely aware of. So,
Yep.
yeah. So we're not we've embraced it, but we're throttling it.
Well,
its introduction.
You've become an innovator in the space, so being able to go and test things, that's what you're known for, right? Take a step in the next direction and continue to innovate for Victoria Beckham. So when you test something new, are there certain measures, practices, anything that you personally think about to say, I'm willing to A/B test something, but I want to be able to make sure that it's not going to disrupt the brand and experience that we've put together for so long?
Yeah, I mean, we have a select group of VIP customers that we'll actually speak to about many of the features that we are proposing to introduce. And by speak to, I don't mean send emails. I mean we have them in, and we ask them to assist us with that. And this is not, we're not asking them to become tech support in any kind of way, but we will have them review it, And oftentimes they're very, very happy to. I mean, you know, it won't surprise you that customers love to give feedback about their experience. And what we don't want to do is introduce any new features where we are not entirely certain that they're going to be embraced by our core customer. It's important for us um, to try to know them as much as possible, but not by covert means.
Yep.
So dialogue's absolutely central, and that's you know, Victoria will tell you that herself. It's actually central to what we do. And yes, AI can do a lot of good things. Tracking can do a lot of good things, and it gives you a great amount of data that you can mine and use to make iterative changes and decisions. But no, Victoria is also a customer on the site, and she likes to be spoken to. So
I'm sure Victoria is testing everything that happens on a very regular basis and communicating that back. So we're about to get into what is probably the craziest season for all realtors, all merchants. You're even going to Paris this weekend to do the semi-annual show and launch a new product.
Yes.
So I'm kind of curious, as we get into what is probably the craziest time of year for everybody, how are you making sure that when somebody comes to the website that they're able to find the products that they're looking for, and more importantly, interact with your products, interact with your brand?
Yeah, shameless plug. Yeah, the show tomorrow, 10 o'clock, SS24 main. Log on, we'll be live streaming it from the website.
Oh, I didn't realize it'd be live streaming.
When they, again, I'll punctuate and reiterate the whole dialogue point. When people land, we have thought about this quite a bit. One of the things that we find frustrating is cookie banners, newsletter sign-ups, all of this real estate which interrupts, you know, your journey when you land on the site. So we've looked at that stuff. We're looking at ways in which we can, that we can deliver that stuff in a slightly less intrusive way and make it feel a little bit more boutique. You know, now can you make boutique digital? We believe that you can, but it's a challenge. And so we're always looking to ideate around that. And again, speak to the customer. So, you know, what do you want to see? I mean, apart from the beautiful imagery, and the way that we shoot the product, and the way that we present, alternative content. Aside from that, how do you want to experience the product on our site?
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I find interesting about your brand over the last couple of years, and you and I talked a little bit about this, is having both the luxury and the beauty side. And I'm curious, from your experience and the intentionality, are those two very different experiences and different types of customers, and is there intentionality behind it?
Like we mentioned in the previous, they're two different customers, and they're actually two different sites at the moment. And we talked about the reasons why that happened, and we will, I can confess and admit to that, perhaps not being the best step that we took there, because it's a little bit confusing for the customer. I'm not sure that a lot of customers understand that they are two different sites. We've looked at it. We think that they need to come closer together, as I mentioned to you, and that's a project that is currently underway at the moment. But they are very different customers. We felt that obviously we knew our fashion customer. Um, we had some idea of who our cosmetics customer might be, but we weren't entirely sure. We now know
Yep.
exactly who that is and what they expect, and that is informing our plans for the two sites, and to unify both the fashion and the cosmetics.
And have you seen cosmetics and beauty start to be more of like a gateway or an entryway into luxury?
100%, yeah, 100%. Which is why we are working on unifying that product. You can buy into the brand a lot easier on the beauty side, or begin your relationship with the brand. It's also slightly different demographic. It's typically a younger audience, although not exclusively. But yeah, we are looking to harmonize that offer, and yeah, as I said, it's a project that's currently underway.
It's something that I find fascinating. A lot of realtors and merchants can probably learn from this, because you stood up almost an entirely new business. You went after a new demographic with the idea that this was going to build brand loyalty and build a whole new generation of repeat customers. So I think that the way that Victoria Beckham went about it, and almost treating them like two separate entities, two
Yeah.
separate businesses, and now considering the conjunction that you've seen success, is going to be a fascinating journey to watch. So that aside, right, being in your role as the head of digital operations for a well-known brand, as we go into the holiday season, as we go into 2024, are there anything that you're personally focused on and thinking about over the next year, for Victoria Beckham innovation? Anything that's top of mind for you?
Uh, the same touch points for us. We are focused on frictionless commerce. We want to provide more and more choice, more and more options, to the audience. We want to make it, as I said at the beginning. I mean, we're in love with our customer base, and nothing is too great in terms of what they want to see. And I'm talking about our digital customers and our offline customers, who are merging. A lot of them shop in the retail stores and also online. But no, more of the same, really. Just that focus on removing any barriers that prevent customers having a frictionless luxury and satisfactory experience, emotional, experience. They want them to come away having felt, really really good about the time that they've spent on our site, and about their product when they've received it, about the whole experience. So that's what we're focused on. So more and more attention will be devoted to that. Anywhere where we can improve that, and we can always improve it. That's our primary focus.
When you say frictionless, a lot to me sticks out, because you go to a lot of websites and it can be extremely noisy, right? It can be extremely loud, and Victoria Beckham has built such a different brand where it truly somehow feels boutique and personalized. So you can build repeat buyers, and I imagine repeat business is a tremendous part of your business. So we got about a minute left. Last question I have for you is, over the next 3 to 5 years, any key changes, anything game-changing to the industry that you guys are thinking about, that you think others that maybe aren't as far along as Victoria Beckham should have top of mind?
Well, thought a lot about that question. Yeah, I'm not in the business of making predictions. I think that's folly. We, particularly as this is, it's a revolution in a way that's still underway, digital luxury. So no, I mean, like I said to you, this stuff pivots so very quickly. Um, our focus is to remain nimble and agile as we scale up. So we don't ever want to get to the point where we can't quickly make changes and quickly adapt. And that's difficult as you're growing, obviously, because you're putting you're putting systems in place, you're putting processes in place, many of which can slow you down when you need to change direction. So we keep a watchful eye on it. As I said, continued dialogue with our customer base and the industry, partners such as yourselves, and we always look to be ready, or on our toes, if you like, to change direction as things develop. So no predictions, but just to stay at the cusp, of development and our vertical, really, and the changes that we're going to clearly need to adapt to quickly for the benefit of the brand and our customers.
Beautiful. Well, I appreciate that. Speaking of keeping on our toes, you keep Maropost on our toes consistently as a great partner, and we appreciate that because you've given us feedback to innovate in ways that we have never even been able to think of. So, Namor, I want to thank you so much for coming out and joining us. And everybody, if you want to learn a little bit more, again, we're over at booth K18, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.